So quiet. That was a miracle. Welcome. We're just delighted that you are here. Our membership, our Impact Central Illinois membership makes this happen. And you ladies have invested in our community in education, in social services, and in health and well-being. So thank you for all of that to the tune of $929,000. I would like for you just to turn to your neighbor and say, thank you for being a giver. Okay, that's enough. I'd like to also thank our guests who are with us today, because we have quite a few guests. And a word to you, because your presence with us is important to us. First of all, thank you for that member that invited you. And thank you for your interest in what we are doing as a community of volunteer-led women. And I like to repeat that, volunteer-led in everything. So we hope that in this, as you see, our mission is to meet needs where we live and to grow in our capacity to learn and understand more of what is here in our community. If you are inspired to join with us as a member, inside that little packet that you got when you came in, there's a little card and a pink envelope. And if you are so willing to fill that out and give it to any of us or leave it on your table, we would just delight in that. So thank you very much. We want to thank the Riverfront Museum who have been so very gracious to us. John Morris and all of his staff, making us feel welcomed and wanted. And ladies, you have an opportunity to see the Body Works exhibit if you've not seen it yet through these doors. I hear it's phenomenal. It's been seen by over 50 million people worldwide. So perhaps it's something you don't want to miss. And I would like to just take a moment to thank and recognize our corporate sponsors. These organizations have sponsored employees as members and have invested in their... That's the clock. How timely. There's 12 of those. Thank you. These organizations have sponsored women, employees as members, and have invested in their professional development. So we're grateful to them for the commitment not only to Central Illinois, but for being a part of this organization. They are CEFCU, Five Senses, Precision Planning, Connect Church, and Kinsey Wealth Management. So thank you to each of these organizations. If you are a guest here today and think your employer might be interested in supporting your membership, please stop by and talk to any of us in leadership about that, anybody in membership. There is a survey at your table. If you would take a moment just as you are eating to fill that out, you can leave it at the table. Somebody will pick those up, but we'd be very grateful. And one last thing before I bring up Lori. As members, our membership fees our membership season is coming to a close. And so if you have not yet paid your membership of $1,100, they are due, those fees are due by November 15th. If you are able to pay them today, that's awesome, but they do need to be in the mail and received by the 15th to be a part of this upcoming grant cycle. So, Lori.
Hi, I'd like to just take a minute and bless this food. So if you join me in prayer. Dear God, as we come together in fellowship and thanksgiving today, we thank you for each and every woman gathered in this room and for each member of Impact Central Illinois with the heart to join together to make a difference in our community in 2024. We ask that your blessing over this upcoming grant cycle, God. Please lead and direct us as we move forward to break into committees and evaluate the grant requests that are submitted. Open our eyes and our hearts, God, to the truest needs in Central Illinois and how we might be part of serving you by bringing forth real solutions and healing to troubled areas within our community. As we think about our physical bodies today, God, we thank you for the amazing and intricate way that you designed each part of us to function and to work together. Thank you for Sarah Zallek and for her willingness to help us better understand this. Bless this food, God, the hands that have prepared and served it, and the conversations that will nourish our spirit. May this gathering be a reflection of your love and your grace. Amen. And now I'd like to call Kristen Zika, and you're going to get a salad put in front of you, so feel free to start nibbling on that, and then you'll have time after she's done too. Thanks.
Thank you, Lori and Shelley. My name is Kristen Zika, and as the salads are getting served, I want to talk to you just a little bit about the grant review process. I am honored, and to be honest, I'm quite humbled to serve as your grant chair for Impact Central Illinois. My responsibility is to define and execute the grant cycle that we as an organization use to ensure that the grant recipients, the proposals that we choose to fund each year, have a high probability of becoming a reality and truly serve the needs of this community. As you can imagine, that takes a lot of people to make happen. In fact, last year, 100 members of Impact Central Illinois were involved in the grant review cycle. 100 women shared their time, their experience, their knowledge, and their hearts with this grant review cycle. We call the grant review cycle, we call it grant review committees, or GRCs. And you have at your table a grant newsletter that kind of gives you an overview of some of the abbreviations as well as the process of what we use to evaluate the grants each year. The fact that we invite all of you, each one of you, to be a member of the grant review process is something that very much sets us apart from many other grant-giving organizations. Each member of Impact Central Illinois is invited to participate. And I think that is actually what humbles me the most. It's getting to interact and work alongside women who, number one, have an intellectual curiosity about the nonprofits on the front lines of this community who are serving not only the needs but also the dreams of people who live here. Number two, to serve with women who have the integrity to want to ensure that the process we follow, the process we undergo each year to vet and choose the finalists and then ultimately the winners is transparent, it's fair, and it's logical. Number three, I get to work with women who have these enormous hearts that care. And number four, I get to work with women who have a desire to connect with each other in an intentional community, making a difference in Central Illinois. So it kind of sounds like a unicorn, right? Does this really exist? The reality is it's not. Look around. Look at your table. Because are you inspired? I know that I am. And I know that I'm humbled. These women, these unicorns, they're you. You are what makes Impact Central Illinois so incredibly unique and powerful. At your tables is a grant newsletter, and it introduces you to the women who are serving on the grants leadership team this year. It tells you all the dates of our meetings in 2024, and it highlights a little bit about our process, including the key criteria that we use to evaluate all of the proposals, and as well as the steps that we use to vet proposals as nonprofits proceed in our grant review cycle. Additionally, on the back, I think it's the back, there are 4 QR codes that you can use, which will direct you to the GRC, Grant Review Committee, the GRC signups. We invite you all to consider if your schedule, if your heart, if you feel moved to participate in this way with Impact Central Illinois, we welcome you. The QR codes are actually not active today. Those will be activated on November 16th, which is the day after our membership drive ends. On that day, the QR codes will be live, so you can click on those to sign up, and you will also, all of the active members for 2024 will receive an email that day that contains links to the sign up as well. Please note that there are 2 steps to signing up this year. You must submit a conflict of interest disclosure and member agreement form. We do that to ensure the transparency and integrity of our grant selection process. So we do ask you to submit any potential conflicts of interest. Conflicts of interest do not preclude you from participating. We just make sure that you are on a committee that is not evaluating the nonprofit that you may have a conflict of interest with. Okay, so if you are involved with nonprofits, it does not mean that you cannot participate on a GRC. You can, we will just make sure that you're on a committee where you can participate fully. All of this is also explained in the email that you will receive on November 16th. And then I'm happy, I'll stick around afterwards. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the process or signing up. 20 years ago, I actually joined a GRC in Austin, Texas. I joined that GRC and I did not have an impressive resume. I had no experience with grant reviews. In fact, I really hadn't made any charitable contributions in my past except to my church and to Goodwill. I just felt in my heart the desire to step out and be part of something a little different. Impact Austin and Rebecca Powers welcomed me to that grant review table with open arms. They taught me and they welcomed me. And this actually makes me this chokes me up a little bit, but I really, really mean this because it is an honor. And I kind of pinch myself that 20 years later, I have the opportunity to welcome each one of you to Impact Central Illinois' grant review table. And so I do that, and I do that sincerely. As I mentioned, this whole process, it takes a village, for sure. And the grant leadership team, which is part of this village, is a group of super inspiring and super fun women, very fun women. I would like to welcome Deanna Bailey forward and Stacy Del Vecchio forward so that they can actually introduce the grants leadership team for 2024. I would also like to ask Jamie Truelove, if you could stand, please. And I'd like to thank her for serving as part of the grants leadership team. She is our sole point of contact, which again we do to maintain the integrity of our process. She is our sole point of contact with the nonprofit community, which is, and I mean, to have her face and her heart representing us as that contact is truly just an honor. And so thank you, Jamie, for that. So I'd like to introduce Stacy Del Vecchio and Deanna Bailey. Thank you.
Right, so please keep eating. I just wanted to introduce our GRC chairs for this year. So I have the lovely role of working with all of them and doing some of the behind-the-scenes work. So if you had worked with me in the past as a GRC chair this year, I'm going to be helping all of them. So. All right, so Deanna.
see. For those who don't know me, I'm Deanna Bailey. This is my 4th year involved with Impact, and I serve on the newly formed Finance Committee. During my 2nd year with Impact, I stepped up to help the financial review process because of both my background in finance and my interest in the process to become an organization qualified for grant funding. I found it to be very enlightening and rewarding and very enjoyable. So much that with some encouragement and guidance, thanks to Vivian, if y'all know her, I stepped into the FRC chair role this past grant term. Each year we look for ways to improve the process, and we learned quite a bit last year. Things that went well, and certainly things that we could do differently. And I'm excited to serve once again as the FRC chair this grant term to implement some enhancements. One of those enhancements is to have a designated FRC lead woman for each grant category to oversee the process during the important phase of financial review. And I'm delighted to introduce the 4 women who have agreed to help as team leads this year. When I call your name, if you could simply stand, I would appreciate it. First, we have an FRC veteran who has added so much value to the team the last several years, Deanne Short. Next, another intelligent and dedicated member of FRC, Megan Wieland. Third, we have the hardworking and talented Teresa Cushing, serving her 2nd year on FRC. And last but not least, and unfortunately she's not here, she messaged this morning, something came up, but I'm thrilled to have Lavon Schleter, who has a history in nonprofit accounting and brings fantastic insight to our team. Thanks to all these ladies for stepping up. So briefly, I'm going to tell you a little bit about FRC and what's involved. So I'll say it really consists of serving on the GRC, but at a deeper level. You get to be a part of the grant review process, and you'll be assigned a nonprofit to perform a financial analysis on. And depending on the ratio of applicants and volunteers, you might be asked to review 2 organizations. We will provide you with the training and the worksheets to perform the task. And let me clearly express that you don't have to have a background in finance to participate. We have several past members who will attest to that. And if you have an interest, we're going to equip you with the information to conduct the review. And it'll take maybe 2 hours of your time. And our role is really to ensure that the applicant is a viable, well-functioning organization demonstrating fiscal responsibility so that it'll be around to implement the project intended and to serve the community. Another new enhancement this year, Vivian and I will conduct one large training session where FRC members will gather at Peoria Next Innovation Center, and using the technology of the website portal each member has access to, you'll be equipped with the actual financial data from the applying organizations. This will be held from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Monday, March 11th. And we strongly encourage the FRC team members to participate in that session to get hands-on experience. We will be prepared to answer specific questions as you work through the data on the spot to get your review started. You will, however, have until March 29th to turn in your completed review. And I cannot stress enough the importance of completing that financial review before the deadline, as it's very time sensitive and it's dependent on the next steps of the process. And really, communication is key during that process, and our FRC leads will ensure that everybody's staying on task and they're able to get the work done. I've had a few ladies already express interest to me in serving on the FRC this next grant term. Thank you for that. I also am going to be around after lunch if you have any specific questions regarding the task. And, certainly reach out anytime if you have questions. And there'll be an opportunity to convey interest by email as well. So keep an eye out for that. So thank you all for your attention and enjoy your lunch.
So, Dr. Sarah Zallek, born and raised in Peoria, Illinois. She went to Kelly Avenue Grade School. Many of you don't know that's where Brienzo's is now.
It's not great.
Yeah. And then attended Bergen, now Notre Dame. Sarah went to get her doctorate with an undergraduate degree in biopsychology from the University of California, Santa Barbara, and her MD from Rush Medical College. She later completed her neurology residency at the University of Michigan. She's currently the medical director of OSF St. Peoria, a professor of neurology at University of Illinois College of Medicine, and has recently been appointed the chief medical officer at OSF St. Joseph Medical Center in Bloomington. So, a lot. So, with all of that, she's also been a lifelong supporter of the Peoria community. Lots of different leadership roles, serving on the Peoria Riverfront Museum Board, Country Club of Peoria, WCBU, and a founding member of Impact Central Illinois. So, despite all of her impressive achievements, her true calling is being a chef. She could open her own restaurant, and I've been fortunate enough to be at her table. It's the best. So Sarah is married to Chris Zallek. He's an OSF neurologist. She has two wonderful daughters, Anna and Zoe, and her amazing mom. Where's Sylvia? Sylvia is here too. So it is my honor and pleasure to introduce my friend, Dr. Sarah Zallek.
Thank you. Why did you guys join Impact? I want 10 people to tell me, one at a time, why you joined Impact. One person first. Lori.
Because I don't write a lot of checks for $100,000.
Because you don't write a lot of checks for $100,000. Okay, I need my trusty assistant, Tracy Spears, to come and help me with this. Thank you. Who else joined Impact and wants to tell me why? I need 10 of you to do this. So Lori's already done one. Why did you join Impact?
I joined to learn more about nonprofits in this local area.
To learn more about the nonprofits in this local area. Why did somebody else join Impact? Gina.
Women in leadership are so inspiring.
Women in leadership are so inspiring. I agree. Look at all you guys. Okay, somebody over there. Why did you join? You were invited. That's a great reason to join. That is why I joined. Okay?
I'm a pastor at a local church, so I love serving anywhere I can.
You love serving anywhere you can. What a great opportunity to do that further. Okay, and by the way, Janet O'Neill is the one who asked me to join. She's here today somewhere, so thank you. Why did you join? Say, somebody alley-oop that to me. I can't hear her. To make a difference. Do you feel like we're making a difference? Okay. Somebody else? Leslie. To help people. Okay. And
She just needed the $10.
she just needed the $10, exactly. Somebody else, why did you join? It can be because you wanted to be known by the other 160 people in the room. Yes?
To be part of something bigger.
To be part of something bigger.
To be part of something bigger that's just women.
Bigger that's just women-led. I love it. Again, look at all you guys. Okay, two more. Why did you guys join Impact? You got a whole bunch of people here who remembers. Why did you join Impact?
Well, I'm going to join today. Because I just moved here and I want to be part of something that matters.
She just moved here and wants to be part of something that matters. We are your live in, to make our Peoria community better for everyone to live in. Okay. Now, each of you has $10. My gift to you. You can literally do anything you want with that. If you need a Starbucks after this and you don't have cash, go for it. Although I'm pretty sure they take a card there. So you can do anything you want with that. Or you can give it to somebody at your table. You can keep it for yourself, or you can put it in the envelope. If you choose to put it in the envelope, we'll give it back to Impact. When you put it in the envelope, if you do, I want you to write on the little card inside an answer to the question. So do that now. If you got the $10, I want you to write an answer to the question inside, and we'll go over those in a little bit. So now I want to ask you, why do you give? You guys all give. Why do you give? Give me a few answers. We're going to talk about giving and what makes us do this and how it makes us feel, but why do you give? Why do you give? So you feel like you've been blessed and it's your joy to share it with other people? Because I can. It's because I can. Jane, why do you give?
It's not about us.
It's not about us. One more over here.
It makes me feel good.
It makes you feel good. I love that. Do you guys feel good when you give? Yeah, right. Okay. When you get those cards written out, I want you to bring them back up to me or hand them to Tracy or Sally and pass them back up here. So why am I talking to you about this? We're going to talk about why we give and how we feel about giving, but I'm a doctor. Why am I going to talk about this? I have two kind of qualifications. So the main reason I'm here is because Kathy Williams asked me to be here, and I would do anything for Kathy Williams, including cook her dinner. But she asked me, and I said I would love to. So 5 years ago, I was asked to develop a communication course for OSF because of the gap between physicians and their patients. There's this best kept secret in medicine that doctors often and without knowing it see their patients as their adversaries. You heard it from me. I am a doctor, and I didn't mean to do that either, but we accidentally see our patients as the person who's standing between us and getting home, or between us and getting to the next patient. And we don't have time for the chit-chat. We just need to get to the diagnosis and the plan. Well, it turns out that being compassionate, generous with time, actually saves time and makes for much better care. There's science behind that. Compassion reduces things that we don't want, stress, pain, even mortality. So when I'm thinking as a doctor, if I apply compassion or teach my colleagues as a communication educator now to be compassionate, it can reduce things that we don't want. It can also improve things that we do want. It actually, in medicine, improves surgical outcomes and wound healing and trauma outcomes and blood sugar control and immune function and patients' adherence to treatment. So compassion is actually sort of like the Swiss Army knife of medical care. And it's very good for the recipient, but also for the giver. See where we're going here? So that's my first qualification. That course has been a joy to be a part of, and learning about the science of compassion, not my opinion of compassion or how we feel, but actually what is actually published about what it means to us biologically, emotionally, physiologically, psychologically to give is very, very important. So fast forward to 2023 from 2020. Wouldn't we all like to have done that from 2020? Just jump right ahead to this year. I'm currently now pursuing a field called lifestyle medicine, which is an interesting part of medicine. I'm board certified in neurology and sleep medicine, but this is an additional board that I'm going for, which is really the well-established science behind the things that we can do to prevent lifestyle-related chronic illness. So think obesity, diabetes, heart disease, even Alzheimer's disease. There are 6 pillars behind lifestyle medicine. Plant-predominant eating patterns. So today we had a very healthy lunch and predominantly plants with a little bit of chicken. So this fits very nicely with that. Physical activity, exercise. Healthy sleep, right in my wheelhouse. Reduction of risky substances, smoking. Also alcohol, but luckily that's lower on the risk list than smoking. Reduction of, and it turns out that coffee is good for you, by the way, so it's bad for your sleep, but coffee has lots of longevity properties. So even decaf for those of us who are in caffeine jail. Reduction of stress is also one of the pillars of lifestyle medicine, and positive social connections. So my second qualification, besides being Kathy Williams' friend and chef, is that I'm learning this lifestyle medicine gig, and positive social connections is actually part of our scientifically based physiological wellness plan for longevity and well-being, reversing and preventing chronic disease. So my pursuit of this board certification has led me to sort of a deep dive into what makes us well and positive social interactions. It's not just about friends, family, and a big luncheon here. It's not just the social feeling part, it's actually science, the social interactions. So I have notes, unlike my typical talks, because this isn't something that I study, and no, I don't walk around with this stuff in my head. So I'm going to share with you a whole bunch of science that's going to tell you why we give and how it makes us feel, what the results of giving are. But first I'm going to have my trusted friend Allison open these up and put the cards together, and then I will read them. While you're opening that, I'll move ahead a little bit, and then we'll take a little break and read the cards. Okay. You're all here on this beautiful day. You could be doing a lot of other things. Some of you left work to come here, me, and many of you. Others of you have plenty of other things to do, but you're all here. And there's a guy named Thomas Lee, who's not the Tom Lee who lives in Peoria, who's also a doctor, but Tom Lee is the chief medical officer of an organization called Press Ganey, which measures patient experience for us in medicine. He wrote a book called An Epidemic of Empathy. And he recognized the disconnection and even sometimes adversarial relationship, like I was talking about, between doctors and patients. And he explored the possibility of turning that around to make empathy the norm and improve the health of patients. So this is interesting, science. If your friends' friends are obese or smoke, you are more likely to be obese or smoke. Epidemics are behavioral or can be behavioral. So if obesity is contagious, if smoking is contagious behaviorally, why can't empathy be? Which is really cool. So if we standardize empathy as the normal state in medicine, for example, or in our giving circles, in our society, then we can actually make it the norm rather than adversarial relationships. I'm going to talk about empathy versus compassion. Compassion, unlike empathy, which is the feeling, you can really experience, you know how somebody stubs their toe and you kind of wince and you think, oh, and you kind of feel that pain, that's empathy. Compassion is wanting to help the person who stubbed their toe. And so compassion, do you think that's innate, or do you think you can learn to be compassionate? Who thinks it's inborn? Who thinks you can learn to be compassionate? Okay, so that is correct. You can learn to be compassionate. There's a guy named Mark Levine who's a psychology researcher in the UK who studied a bunch of college students who were big fans of Manchester United soccer team and invited them all to see some highlight reels of the game, of their best games. He said, come to the sports building and I'll show you some video. Well, first he brought him to another building and he said, first I want you to write an essay about, or just a paragraph about why you love Manchester United so much. So these rabid Manchester United fans are all writing about how much they love Man U and they're all excited about it. And he said, now we're going to go to another building. Ran across campus to another building, and the subjects in this study, the students, all each came across a fallen runner who had injured himself, but in 3 different conditions. One runner was wearing Manchester United shirt and had fallen and injured himself. Another runner was wearing their arch enemy Liverpool shirt, and another runner was just wearing a plain t-shirt. Well, after they talked about Manchester United and how much they loved them so much, the students who ran into the runner who had the Manchester United shirt were very eager to help him when he'd fallen and injured himself, a total stranger. The Liverpool shirt guy, no help at all, and the plain t-shirt guy, no help at all. They had been preconditioned to think, oh, my tribesmen, my in-group, my people, my fallen brethren, the Manchester United guy, they had compassion for because they saw him as one of their own. They noticed that he was one of theirs and helped him. Second arm of that study, different set of students, they all had to write why they loved the game of soccer so much. Run them across campus, they come across each either a fallen runner with a Manchester United shirt, a Liverpool shirt, or a plain shirt. And what do you think happened? The guy in the Manchester shirt and the guy in the Liverpool shirt were equally likely to have gotten help because the in-group expanded from my people, my tribe, to, not just my team, but my tribe is now people who love soccer. The poor guy in the plain t-shirt still got nothing. But compassion can be learned. We can precondition ourselves to see humanity as our in-group, right? But that's a really big group and it's hard to relate to, and you accidentally see people as your not in-group, not your tribe. And so the more you can kind of recognize that you're more alike than different, then everybody is a soccer fan, or everybody is a human being. And so compassion is a learnable skill, which is really beautiful. And you're all not just empathetic, but compassionate. You're here with an urge to help. You've written a check, you've sent a Venmo, you've done whatever it is that joins Impact, and you've committed your dollars, but also many of you have committed your time. That is compassion. And I gave everybody who answered my question earlier $10 and asked them to answer this question. Giving this gift makes me feel, and here are the answers. There are people that need to be blessed. Be the hands and feet of Jesus. Giving this gift makes me feel I'm doing it right. Blessed, fortunate, humbled. It takes my eyes off myself. Nice. A sense of purpose. Grateful for what I have. So you feel gratitude when you give. Good to help others. Like I'm honoring God. Compassionate. That's the last one. That's so much fun. Okay, so some of those had religious meanings. Some of those had selfless meanings. Some of those had generosity meanings. One was compassionate. We have lots of things that we feel when we give, and that's good. And they're different things. So we feel different things. It's not a universal experience, but it's really interesting that giving is universally valuable to the giver. So there's a number of, there are a bunch of psychological, social, and biological predispositions to giving. So raise your hand if you were taught to share as a little kid, right? Almost everybody. Although my staunch libertarian friend said sharing is unnatural, keep your toys. So his children didn't learn to share, but all the rest of you, clearly sharers. So even before our parents and preschool teachers taught us that, we knew. There's a study from 2015 that showed a pair of 18 to 24-month-olds, so little toddlers, before they're really taught, will equally divide resources between themselves, even when one child has to sacrifice some of his or her own resources to ensure equality. Little tiny kids who haven't really been taught the lesson, that's our innate nature. It all kind of can break down a little bit, by the way. They can learn a lot to not share their stuff. So we could learn a lot from the 18-month-old set. Several internal characteristics influence generosity. So our internal nature, empathy, compassion, and other emotions can motivate us to help others, like you just read from your friends here. Certain personality traits, humility, agreeableness are associated with increased generosity. We're not all equally generous, and we have some innate differences in those predispositions. A person's tendency to engage in pro-social, so good for the group behavior, can be considered a personality trait in itself. Just being socially connected promotes giving. People with more friends engage in more volunteering, charitable giving, blood donations. Just look at you guys, right? So and some of you here know a lot of people. I know a lot of you. Many of you are here and know a few people, and you're growing your social group. Generosity is contagious. It can propagate within social networks and workplaces, right? Impact is a great example of contagious giving. Even subtle nudges can generate a strong pro-social response. Or good for the group, right? So 18-month-olds, again, learning from the best, found that after viewing photographs that had two dolls facing each other in the background of the photograph, those kids were 3 times more likely to help an experimenter pick up sticks than the children who viewed photographs with a lone doll or dolls standing back to back. So just showing them pictures of 2 dolls facing each other made them more likely to help. 18-month-olds who were mimicked in a friendly manner by an adult experimenter, so miming, were significantly more likely to help each other, or to help either the experimenter or a different adult who needed help compared to children whose behavior was not copied. So this sort of mimicking each other, one of the things that we do when we connect with each other is unconsciously copy each other's body language. Someone leans in, we lean in. Someone crosses her legs, we cross our legs. That's all social connectivity, and it actually binds us together in ways that are kind of unspoken. So societies that have promoted pro-social norms, good for the group, would have survival or higher survival rates, have had higher survival rates than those that do not. So if you're a society of just lone actors, you're less likely to survive as a society, right? We're all interdependent. And so if you are these ancient societies that are pro-social, we're more likely to survive. And so our gene, our heredity sort of was influenced, and our genes and our culture evolved together. And so social beings, those who gave, those who were generous with each other, survived in their cultures, and those cultures survived. So the people survived, and so did the cultures. Altruistic behavior was necessary for creating cooperative social systems that allowed humans to survive. So did we evolve to be generous? Yeah, probably. We probably did. The selfish people are probably the ones who got killed, right? So the saber-toothed tiger took out the guy who thought he could do it all by himself. Sorry, man. Humans' early dependence on cooperation and helping may explain why giving feels so rewarding. It's very biological, right? So those who were rewarded for giving and being generous were more likely to survive and procreate. So giving, like other acts such as eating and drinking and mating, are essential for continuation of the human species. So we've evolved to be like this. There's a psychology researcher named Laura Aknin, and colleagues who worked on a study that suggests that because generosity may have contributed to human fitness for survival, so giving helps us survive, when generosity produced pleasurable feelings in early humans, or in certain humans, and thus made those humans more likely to be generous again, they thereby became the ones who were more likely to survive, right? Several studies have also shown that the brain's ability to empathize, particularly its capability to resonate with the pain of others, helps form the basis of our pro-social proclivities. So, for example, if somebody was watching a video in a study of somebody's, this is a gross study, somebody's hand being stabbed by a syringe, like pierced by a syringe, if they had, oh my gosh, it's 1 o'clock. Okay, those guys, if they were more sensitive to that pain, if they had the biological evidence that they felt the pain of that other person, those were more likely to give money to a stranger in a game to follow. Okay, so can I have just a couple more minutes? All right. So what does giving do for us? Now that we've evolved to give, we are connected by nature to give and be generous and supportive. What does it do for us? Giving social support, time, effort, or goods is associated with better overall health in older adults. It leads to a greater quality of life. People are 40% less likely to develop high blood pressure if they volunteer for 4 hours a week or more. And those who are volunteers have delayed mortality. So elderly people who volunteered for 2 or more organizations were 44% less likely to die over a 5-year period than non-volunteers. That's a big number, right? So volunteering is engaging, and volunteering your money or your time counts. Elderly couples who provided practical help to friends, relatives, etc., had a lower risk of dying over 5 years. People who are helpful are more likely to live well and live long. Kathy Williams, you are in good shape. Where are you? You're going to live forever. Okay, so if somebody asks you, well, acting generously stimulates, by the way, I'm a neurologist, so the neural circuits involved in reward, the dopamine pathway. Have you guys heard of dopamine? Right, it's the reward pathway. It's the same circuits that are activated when we eat food or have sex, which explains why it feels good. So if somebody asks you to give, you should say yes, yes, yes. Okay, one study found that more altruistic people actually have higher mating success, more partners, and more frequent sex within relationships. So if you're looking to get lucky, generosity is a good look. Okay. A couple of more highlights before I let you go. Frequent helpers report feeling greater vitality and self-esteem. People who had reported giving to charity in the past year reported greater happiness. So giving makes us happy. In one study, giving more money led to more happiness only when participants were told that their donation would specifically buy a bed net for a child in Africa, and that would make a difference in that child's life, not when they were told the donation would simply support the charity's general fund. Do you guys like knowing that your money goes into a big pool and a big chunk of it goes to help a specific cause? Right? That's one of the cool things about impact. I think it's really interesting that biologically we are trained, we are programmed to be more generous when we can see the results of our generosity, not just giving for the greater good, which has merit, but knowing what happens to your resources has real value. Can money buy happiness? Well, spending money on other people was associated with significantly greater happiness regardless of income, whereas there was no association between spending on oneself and happiness. It turns out that spending money on someone else is much more rewarding than spending money on yourself, although people did not think that. So if when they were asked before this study whether they were going to be happier if they could spend it on themselves or someone else, they all thought that they'd be happier spending it on themselves. So we are not innately aware of our happiness from being generous with time and treasure. And so we have to teach each other and model this and learn it. And there's all sorts of stuff that to support why generosity makes us happy, but I'm just going to tell you, it's biology, okay? Giving is contagious. People who routinely help others, perform acts of kindness, volunteer, donate to charities, may develop positive reputations, you people, right? Which in turn could lead others to reciprocate with more generosity. Your friends, people who are not here, where are you going today? Impact lunch. What's that? And then they say, where's Sue today? Impact lunch. What's that? Your generosity is a trait admired by others who will follow your lead. So in sum, we are designed to give. Generosity is necessary for our survival as a species, which is good because it's fun, right? So individually, we get the same kick from giving as we do from all sorts of other more dangerous things. Who knew? Sex, drugs, rock and roll, and giving. So thank you all for being here. Thank each other for being here. We're all part of something much bigger than ourselves, as somebody said on the card, and much bigger than money we pool together through impact. You're thinking, gosh, we've given $935,000 or whatever, and yet much bigger than that, because you're making an impact on those who receive the grants, yes, and now you know on your own well-being, but also making an impact on the giving habits and happiness of others. Keep it up.
Thank you all so much, and thank you, Dr. Zallek, for that. That was a wonderful message. I think it's a great kickoff to, one, the holiday season, but for our upcoming grant cycle. Looking forward to seeing all the work that our nonprofit community is doing. Just a few quick reminders for you guys. Consider signing up for a finance or a grant review committee. Take the information that was given with you so you can scan those QR codes and sign up. Payment for the 2024 membership is due on November 15th. So please get that in prior. You can do that today, turn it in at the membership table. And then also thank you to all of our members and all of our guests that are here. If you are a guest and you're interested in signing up today, again, go to the membership table and they will help you out. Thank you to the Riverfront Museum. I'd like to welcome John Morris up here to share a few words.
Everything Sarah Zallek said. Thank you very much.